Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day 24 of the Breakthrough Challenge. 24 days and counting. I see Brainy, Victor, Judith, Ndungi, Elena, James. Of course, as usual, the first question is, did you write down your goals today? And not type them, not think about them, but actually write them with your hand, pen and paper. I would like to hear everyone report their status, and you report the truth, because that's what is going to help you. Let's start with Ndungi. Did you write your goals today?
Yeah. Good morning to everyone. And yeah, I did write my goals today. Yeah, I wrote 11. One extra,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Yes. Judith, have you written your goals today in East Coast?
Not yet.
Okay. I know your timing, and your sound is always crisp, clear. James,
Yes, I have written my goals. I actually had an extra one pop up just a few minutes ago.
fantastic. That is the whole aim. You never know what your goals, the hidden goals are until you get into the habit of writing. Elena, I'm asking everyone, so be ready, everyone else.
Grand Rising, everyone.
Grand Rising, Elena.
Yes, so I wrote down my goals. I got to 16. There are four more that I have in my head, but I don't really have them offhand. What I've noticed is that over time, whatever you wrote as goal number one, keep refining, and you state your intention and just give it some sort of direction. It refines itself over time.
Yep. The goal is fermenting, but for it to ferment, you have to keep stirring it, and you keep stirring it by reproducing it. Don't think about it. Don't type it. Don't even audio record it. Take a piece of paper and a pen and write it down. There's just a power there that you can't explain. Brainy, did you write your goals today?
Oh, Grand Rising, everyone. Oh, no, I didn't write my goals because I had changed my environment to another place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So you know what to do. The day
I'm
cannot
writing
go
them right now.
down. Day cannot go down. Like literally, when you wake up in the morning, this is the single most important activity for the remaining part of the breakthrough challenge. Victor, did I ask you yet? No, right?
Hi everyone. Yes, I did write my goals today morning.
Okay. Anything new popped up?
No. It's the same things that I've been writing.
Yeah. It's you just don't know when you will realize that there are some goals you have there which are, and this is for everyone, you will come to a place of realizing that some of these goals I have are really not as important to me. And then some important goals start popping up, or it becomes more increasingly clear to you why a particular goal is extremely important. And therefore your brain just begins to find ways for you to start being consistent in pursuing that goal. This is a ritual that you just have to establish, because you wouldn't be here in my life reminding me. I wouldn't be there reminding you. This is the one place where you won't feel like doing it, but the more you start doing it, the more you get used to doing it. Then eventually it becomes very easy. In fact, you start wondering, there's something I haven't done today, when you have not written your goals, right? So today's topic could take several different titles. It could be called transitioning, or maybe the better title would be starting over. Starting over. I think that it's because I didn't want to use that title initially because it portrays a specific type of starting over when we are speaking very broadly about the important areas of our lives. So starting over. I had sent you some questions before. Perhaps I want you to just spend the next 5 minutes responding to these questions and Write your responses to these questions. I'd put these questions in the WhatsApp group. The first question is, if you knew you could not fail, what would you attempt? That's the first question. First question is, if you knew you could not fail, what would you attempt? And I don't want you to focus on the question itself or writing it down. The important thing is, I would like you to write down two things. And here, this is you trying to figure out whether there is a certain hidden, extremely important goal that you haven't had the courage to face. If you knew you couldn't fail, what could you pursue? What goal could you pursue? What project could you initiate? What dream would you outline and start working on? What life would you choose for yourself if you knew you couldn't fail? The other way to think of it is, if you had a benefactor who would pay for everything for you, whatever you want, you just need to say, this is what I want, and it will be paid for. What would you pursue? You may write down one thing, but then start, other thoughts start occurring around that one thing. This is not about writing 10 things today. It's about writing one thing. It might relate to your main goal. It might be something else. Right now, you are going beyond what we've written with your brain and going into your heart. If you had a torch and you looked in there and you are like, I want to pick the most valuable, the most exciting thing for me, the one thing that I believe would give me the most fulfillment, move me the most. If you knew you could not fail in pursuit of whatever that is, what would you attempt? Jot down some thoughts. Please do this. If all we do is listen to each other, it is a waste of time. Do this. Take a pen and write down. We have very interesting brains. I remember when I was, in high school, sometimes I would be asked a question in class and the answer doesn't come, right? And then after class, I would think of 80 different ways I could have answered that question. And yet in the moment, those answers not necessarily come up. But I think when we are doing this kind of work, overly relying on our intellectual brain blocks us from what would require courage to get to. The question you are tackling right now is, what is it that would fire you up so much that it would bring from your guts, from your soul, a level of courage you've never experienced? Starting over is strongly linked with expanding your vision so that the you who is going to the new place, who is starting over, cannot be the same you that was in the place you are starting over from. That transition takes a level of courage. It takes a shift that cannot purely depend on what you think in the moment. It requires something much deeper. If you're going to build bigger, build better, build newer, you are not going to do it with the same emotions you had previously, the same mindset you had previously. I would like you to write down 2 or 3 things from that question you just answered. If you were achieving this dream, right? What would your life look like? If you were working on this dream and achieving this dream, what would your life look like? That can be, there are many ways to answer that. For example, what would be different, right? What would be different in terms of your environment, in terms of your routines, in terms of your level of discipline, in terms of your focus, in terms of your energy? What would be different? If you knew you couldn't fail, what is it you would go for? And what would that look like? This is an easy way to break it down. I want you to write down 4 actions it would require. What 4 actions would it require from you to achieve this big thing which you would pursue if you knew you couldn't fail? Write down 4 actions. What 4 actions would it require? Maybe you can come up with 5, 6, but I'm giving you 4. If you get more, that's even better. What actions would it require? If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you go for? What would it look like in your life? What specific actions might it require for you to accomplish this thing or to reach this goal? Here is another way to look at it. If you took that vision and you give to somebody who has all the skills, resources, mindset to achieve it, right? If you were to pick this goal and throw it to somebody else who we know would have accomplished it really quickly, what things do you anticipate they will do to achieve this goal? That's an easy way to look at it from another perspective. What is it that they will do? How would they organize your life to make this goal easy to achieve? What is it that they would be able to do so easily, which you may not be able to do easily right now, but which you can build towards to make that goal a reality? So we're going to wrap our conversation around this, and the aim of, so we'll do this starting over in 2 parts. So starting over requires movement, emotional, spiritual, intellectual movement to a different place than where you are right now. So we will define what you are starting over from after we've defined the possibilities we have, that there is always something within reach. So you will share with us what that thing would be, which if you knew you wouldn't fail, you could attempt, right? So we'll share what that would be and share with us some of the details. What does it look like? What actions does it require? And I want you to try and describe it from a detached point of view. It's like you are watching a seminar too, you're watching a film, and there is this person with this goal, and this is what it looks like in their life, and these are the actions that they were able to take, right? And therefore, this is the kind of discipline or personality or character or commitment that it required for them to achieve that goal. I know your answers may not be fully formed, but this is the place where you begin to allow your heart to speak more than your intellectual mind. Because your intellectual mind, everything you write down, it starts analyzing immediately. Like, do you think we can really do that? You write something down and your mind is like, ha, 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 ha. We'll see how you do that. This is the time when you pull back as much as you can from your conscious mind. If I thought consciously about what it would take to do some of the things I take up. So for example, I've had the intention to run a whole year coaching program where I meet a specific group of people daily, even if it's for 30 minutes daily, and just do it as an experiment to see whether somebody's life can be 100% different at the end of the year if they pursue a certain consistent set of disciplines. But imagining doing that every day, including holidays, including weekends, it's very scary. But I know it's something that I would love to do, and it's something that I'm committed to do. So what does it look like? It looks like me being very consistent with my sleeping time so that I'm able to wake up by 3:45, by 4 in the morning, I am up every single day. What does it require? It requires me exercising every day, doing push-ups every day to keep my energy up. It requires me committing that I will not eat anything past 6 p.m. so that then I allow my energy to be optimized, drinking water. It requires me to be as efficient as I can in the hospital so that I don't carry any work home that I must do at night. It requires me to create a schedule, to create my day structure and stick to it to the best ability. It requires me to let go of the nice to do things which are not important for where I am going. And so this is just as an example. So what would it look like for somebody to do what I'm doing? They would be very disciplined, they would be organized, they would have a clear vision, they would be so consistent in terms of determining what will be discussed every day, right? They will be willing to deal with uncertainty and be flexible. For example, that's what I have had to deal with, having to move from place to place. Sometimes the library is not open when I arrive. Sometimes the internet misbehaves. The other day, my microphone malfunctioned. They would be willing to not change the goal because of the obstacles, but continue pursuing the goal despite the obstacles. And they would focus on what's within their control rather than what's under somebody else's control. So I don't know what you came up with, what the goal would be, what would be that one thing that you would do if you knew you couldn't fail, and what you have in mind in terms of doing it. So let's go around and hear, starting with Judith.
Okay, so if I had the resources and everything, I would actually, one is to ensure that I'm financially stable.
Yeah.
And that I don't worry about maybe paying my bills and other things. But what I would do is actually pursue my PhD.
Yeah.
So what that needs is dedicated time. Like I would actually need to set time and try to focus on that.
Yeah.
And even try to link my work with the PhD program or something like that. It requires a lot of discipline and hard work on my side, determination. I would say also resilience, and like I need to push away the fears I have, overcome the fears, and perhaps grow a thick skin. Let me put it like that. If somebody else was to do it, like if what they need is probably prioritize it, like have it as a priority that they need to do it. Probably they are more experts in writing research papers. And I believe they are more confident and they believe they can do it. Yes.
I like that, Judith. Thank you. So we now have two scenarios. We have the inner desire, right? And we have the outer reality that is possible, but it's been possible for somebody else. And that helps you see the gap and what the gaps are. All the gaps you've identified are doable. It's things that you can build towards. It won't happen in a day. In fact, if it happens in a day, then it hasn't. Discipline, you can't say you're disciplined just by the actions you've taken one day. It has to be over time. It has to be measured and be deemed to be consistent, because discipline, if it's not consistent, it's not discipline, it's punishment. If you wake up at 3 in the morning and that's the only day you wake up at 3 in the morning, you've simply punished yourself that day. But if you wake up 3 in the morning consistently, then it's a discipline, and there must be a desire, there must be a motivation, a motive that pushes you to do that. So Judith, I think you've just found your next goal. Remember, you learning R, becoming an analyst, you becoming a first author in a paper. You've just helped us realize the why. The why is that Judith, in 6 to 7 years from today, can have her PhD, or maybe even shorter, can have her PhD. But she will get to the PhD by starting off immediately with even reducing the amount of time she was giving herself to master R. Go on YouTube or online and maybe Udemy or somewhere and sign up for a course on R and do it. And then apply that skill in analyzing the data you have. And start, outlining in advance what is this area I want to be the first author in, and what the data is, who do you need. The other thing might be If you don't have the right people that would lead you to get into a PhD program that you like, you start creating those relationships today. Figure out a topic, the topic that you're interested in. Look at the schools you would want to do your PhD in, and get 3 professors from three different universities. And this must be a topic you're truly passionate about. And then you commit yourself to start writing, like every month. You have there is a new question in the circle. Take that question and write down your thoughts, and then share with these thoughts. Write to these professors and tell them, I am so and so, this is my desire. I would like mentorship in this area. They never get enough requests, most of them. So it's such that when you show up and put in the request, they are surprised and they are eager to work with you. Especially, I've seen that among professors here in the US. Single out people who are excellent in the area you want to go into, and then let you publishing manuscripts be an outcome of you having improved your mastery of that topic and improved your writing so much that when you start reading your articles 6 months from today, they are very different. So if for you, writing daily is going to be, it's not an option. You writing daily to the point where after you've written, you start reading it, and it sounds like an introduction to a manuscript. It sounds like a conclusion. It sounds like a well thought discussion. You start reading, like every week you're reading 3 or 4 academic papers, and you're reading them with the mindset that this knowledge is going to help me with my PhD. So this, I think Judith, you just found a goal that pulls you up. Your financial goals are important. Keep them in view. They will follow. If you get a PhD, the opportunities you start serving will be very different than where you are right now. Let's move on to Elena. What's your response? What's your key thing for this?
My key thing for this is to work at McKinsey, the global consulting firm. What was the other question again?
So if you knew you could not fail, what would you pursue? That was the main question, right? And therefore, what would it look like? What actions would it require? What might somebody who would actually be doing it have that would, looks different from where you are now?
Okay, so the gap between somebody who would be there would be they would be applying to more global jobs. They would be putting themselves out there. They would be up to date with industry emerging trends in terms of consulting. They would be engaged with a career coach. They would be actively preparing for interviews and working on their emotional intelligence to get them to that place of their mindset has shifted towards being a global citizen and working as a professional at that particular level.
Yeah. So you would be working in McKinsey, but in what capacity? What is it? What would be your impact in that position? What would you be doing in that position?
My area of focus would be consulting. I would start as a junior consultant as I build towards the supervisory position.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is where I see the dream being.
So I would like you to still think about, if you come up with, other responses as we go along, I want you to think about this. Don't allow your brain to think about the journey. I don't think your dream is to become a junior consultant and then be promoted. That's your brain thinking of the mechanics, thinking of the, what the outcome will be. You delink yourself from the outcome and focus on what you could do, right? What you could do that could contribute to this journey, and what somebody else who is already there might have done or are doing. So the outcome is not in your control. The outcome, whether somebody will hire you, whether they will promote you, whether they will give you, post you to South Africa or Kenya or the UK. That's not in your control. What is in your control is to figure out what this desire is and what it looks like. It's, this is the desire. What does it look like? It looks like you are the general manager for consulting in Mogire, right? That is what it looks like. But these steps in between, you delink yourself from the steps in between as far as it relates to somebody else, and focus on what is it, what would it look like? It looks like, if there's a video being filmed of you, what does it look like? Your lifestyle, your mindset, your interactions, your discipline, what actions. When every time you speak about actions, you put responsibility here in terms of what is it you are doing. So I like the ingredients you identified: working with a coach, working on emotional intelligence. Those are things that they don't depend on the market, they depend on your choices for the journey. If this is your goal, it may not necessarily be linked to McKinsey. It may just be you becoming an international level consultant. You never know what that will end you. You might find yourself with a consultant with World Bank. You are in the larger Asia, or you are in Latin America, or you are in somewhere in Africa. You might end up with the World Food Program. You might end up with, there is a ton, you might end up with Coca-Cola. You might end up with a ton of other possibilities. So that the organization itself is important, but the most important bit of this is what is that role, and why is that role a dream? It is a dream because of what you would experience, what you would be able to accomplish, the impact you have, right? So that when that is clear, you start challenging yourself in terms of how can you start manifesting that person has been working with a coach for 5 years. When can I start working with a coach? And what would the coach help me do, which I am not doing right now all by myself? Elena, I don't know whether that adds any value to your reasoning around this, but think
Yes,
about
it does.
yeah, think about it, and let's see. Next is Victor. What's your blockbuster idea, Victor?
Okay. My idea has been, I've always wanted to change the world in one way or another. So I thought of a company that provides education on character and skills. I've been talking about that severally, and the areas that I wanted to impact, to give out that knowledge is life skills, financial literacy, leadership, critical and creative thinking, emotional intelligence, mental health. So I think those are the things I believe that if people will get knowledge about, are able to impact their life. So that is the one thing that I have always wanted to do.
Yeah. Actions.
So
What would it require for you to move journey there?
I'm creating content on these different areas, so I need to do research and work on it. At the same time, I always wanted to be whatever I teach. I also want to be. So I will not want to training someone something that you are not also practicing. So that's one other thing. And then and maybe later get partnership, but after I've done the whole work, a framework, a structure for it. So those are the things that I'll do. Yeah.
So how does this relate to your overall career and financial goals? I just want to see, because there is always going to be one focal center for your energy and attention, right?
Yes.
Yes, and when it's very discordant when we try to live we like to, when we have a very powerful vision ahead and we are spending like most of our energy in this area, we find ourselves pulled to and fro, and that can be very wasteful of our intellectual and emotional energy. So I would like to see how that does that relate to your overall the overall personal, career, and emotional, and career and financial goals?
Computer literacy is there. So part of it, wanted it to be a software company and also training people programming and so forth.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have financial goals, but I think through this, I'm able to meet them. So I want to put main focus on it, not the money, because I know I know it will be successful. So of course it will pay off. And then I noticed that I also like teaching, kind of passion for it.
Yeah.
So through that, I think now I'll have time to also to train and teach. And since it's also having the things that I'm already doing practically, maybe programming or even training chess. So it encompasses the whole of me. So I think if someone will have that money for me to do this thing, then this is what I will do.
Check your check, Victor.
Thank you.
Yes. So I see that link, and that is extremely important, that you continue working on becoming the best as you can be in your skill as a programmer, but also in addition to adding the teaching skills, communication skills, and then of course planning. You are seeking to be an entrepreneur, right? You're seeking to be an entrepreneur, and it's going to require you to learn entrepreneurial skills. And entrepreneurial skills are a totally different cup of tea from employment skills in terms of the level of personal responsibility, because you are the boss and you are the employee, you are the staff, you are everything until you grow it enough for you to have other people come in and join you. If somebody was running this and they were already successful, what is it they would be doing? If you're watching somebody who is running this institute that has 1,000 students every month across 3 countries, 4 countries, or even if it's across Kenya, what is it they would be doing that you might not be doing right now?
Okay, I've not thought about that for long. Maybe creating content. I've seen people creating content, online content, and then I've also seen.
Think about this question. Think about it. Just take time. Take time. Think about it.
Fine.
Yes. Take time. Think about it. Let's hear from Brainy. Brainy, what's your big idea? Shake us.
That's a good question. So if I knew I could not fail, first of all, I'm going to make the world as my playground. In a way, like I'll go out there in the world, utilize all my skills that I have, and use that experience and knowledge to inspire people and inspire younger people. And then I also want to travel the world. And just using that knowledge, like the skills that I have and I've acquired, use those skills to generate income and build myself up and keep learning more, because there's no point in your life where you get to a point where you say like, yeah, I've really now like developed. Growth is always a continuous process.
Yeah.
And the whole action that would require me to do that, one is mindset, because mindset is everything. And I think that I've learned for the past 3 years is whatever you put it, there's nothing that you can't do. It's all about your mindset. And 2 is self-discipline, persistence, and self-love. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, so I want to take you back to the main thing. In my perspective, the things you've identified are all outcomes to have knowledge and use it to impact people and travel the world. These are all the ingredients you identified are outcomes. The question we are tackling today has to be something specific. It has to be In other words, it's you taking a magnifying glass and directing all your energy, attention, and resources to it. If you had the power to do that, to pursue the one thing, like if there is one specific thing which if you built onto, it would fire all the engines in your life, what would that one thing be? So if you haven't gotten there in terms of thinking about it specifically, and this can change from time to time, the whole reason for doing this kind of work is to give yourself permission to start experiencing mentally, emotionally, elements of your life that may not even be consciously available to you right now.
Oh, okay. The one thing for me will be financial freedom. That's all.
Financial freedom, Brainy, is still an outcome. If you had money, right now, you had, if I gave you 100 million right now and that's it, there is something you'll find yourself starting to do, right? The money will not fulfill you. We are only fulfilled by two things: growing and contributing.
Yep.
Any success we achieve today, tomorrow becomes ordinary. There are things we have in our lives, every one of us here. There are things you have in your life which you are like, my goodness, if I get there, if I earn this degree, for Judith, if I go to that country, right? Something, if I graduate, right? If you get that thing, and then a short while after, you realize like, okay, I need the next one. There is no, write this and think about it, right? There is no destination grand enough to satisfy you. There is no destination grand enough to satisfy you. The only thing that can satisfy and fulfill you is the journey. There is no destination grand enough to satisfy you. Or you want to marry this person and you're like, my goodness, if only I marry them. You get married to them, 3 years later, you've forgotten how much of a desire you had to get there. There is no destination. We, as humans, we have what is called hedonic adaptation. Our pleasure wanes away after we have achieved what we wanted. It is in the journey. The value, the enjoyment, the growth is in the journey. So Brainy, being financially free is not what your heart burns for. Your heart burns to grow, your heart burns to contribute, right? But all this must be channeled through one thing. If you mention, for example, Steve Jobs, what do you think about? Right? Steve Jobs, you think about Apple. Just mention any names of people. For example, let's just come to Kenya. James Mwangi, think about Equity Bank, right?
I don't know him.
Think about Martha Karua, fighting for forests and for the environment. Like, there is something that is so unique to you. It may not be the ultimate thing, but what is the one big thing that you might not be giving yourself as much permission right now to embrace? Your brain, for everyone on the call, your brain right now has a desire and a preference to focus on the smaller ingredients of something that is hidden in you that is much bigger, right? It has a smaller ingredient. And that's the feedback I was also trying to give back to Victor. The institution is an outcome. The institution has grown, it's training people. That is an outcome. Brainy, for you, financial freedom is an outcome. It's out there, right? It's going to require the economy. It's going to require demand. It's going to require there's no new virus breaking out when your money has been invested, so that it can generate income for you. You create this vision there, but then the biggest part is here. What has to happen here? I've given you two questions which are essentially what has to happen here and what might already be happening. If there was somebody else who is doing that one thing and they're doing it really well, what would they be doing that makes them so successful, right? And by you looking at what they would be doing, you would be looking specifically at their behavior, because you can copy their behavior. You can model their behavior. You can't model their genetics. You can't model their life advantages, their life opportunities. You can't model their upbringing, but you can model their behavior. You can model their actions, which is why you focus on their actions. You focus on the specifics. Because if you look at, for example, at maybe you're looking at Bill Gates. You can't model Bill. You can't model he's a white man. He grew up in Seattle. He had a family that exposed him. You can't model those. But what is it that he is doing that is allowing him to offer more of who he is to the world? That is something that I can copy and model. And that's something that you can model and reproduce in your life. So for you, maybe if it's not fully formed, Brainy, keep thinking about it. Financial freedom is an outcome. Building an institution and it starts working, that's an outcome. Getting to a position, Elena, for example, you are the regional manager, that is an outcome. That is what, that is like, but what is it that you would do? Remember, the question is, if you knew you could not fail, what could you pursue? So there is the pursuit of, that's what it will become, but the pursuit is active. The actions, the choices, the mindset, the direction, the consistency that will lead you to that outcome. I decided to add this piece today to help us begin to lift our goals to a higher level, to a higher ground from where we've set those goals. Some of the goals that we have set are called supporting goals. Supporting goals are only impactful, just like in any film, supporting actors are only impactful when there is a lead actor, whether it's a villain or a protagonist, there is a lead actor. You need a lead actor goal. Which is the chief aim of your life, and it doesn't have to be permanent. For now, what is your chief aim? What is the one core thing? Right? Keep thinking about it, Brainy. Let's go to James.
Okay. I am incredibly confused at this moment. I think what I had written down was an outcome, because it had everything to do with financial independence, ending up with multiple sources of income, just being in a position where I can contribute financially, and I had it all written down, all the all the 13 things all the 13 things that I would need to do differently. But I think I
just share what you have.
okay.
Share what you have. We think through it together.
Okay. So if I could not fail, the one thing I would attempt, I think, would be to set myself up financially, to have not only different sources of income, but to be able to contribute financially, and also I think it will enable me to get a voice. Because in African homes, you only listened to, you can contribute to what's going on. But the things that I would need to do differently would be to improve my record keeping, how I monitor the money, to learn new methods and pick on new trends on how, or about how people are making investments or making their money, to get a financial accountability partner, to spend less than I earn, to learn new ways of doing other things, to increase my exposure in the field of business and dealing with money, to be flexible in case of bad times, to be consistent to the point that when I start a project, I stick with it, to learn how to manage my time so that I'm able to do that while still studying, to learn how to build relationships, to get mentors along that path, to interact with new people, to prospects, along that line, to do with people. Then I will need to be open-minded, and I will need to check on my attitude. Yeah, that's everything.
Yeah, thank you. Those are you've given us a ton of ideas that we can all learn from. So please don't get me wrong. I hope, and this is for everyone, right? What you want to pursue, what you want to achieve is an outcome, right? It's an outcome. So for example, for Victor, You want this institute that does education in several realms, from software engineering to character education to financial literacy. That is the outcome. So you're not wrong by having an outcome, James, right? It's a question of, is the outcome specific enough that you can accomplish it? Is it linked to something that is a major part of your life that will lead you there? Because let's say you have the outcome of financial literacy, financial freedom, and it's going to require you to be very financially savvy and very frugal, and to improve your financial literacy along the journey. It does not focus your energy enough, allow you to take actions consistently enough in one area so that it can lead you to financial literacy, financial freedom. Money generally is a reward for excellent skill solving specific problems for people. The more people whose problems you're able to solve, the more money you will have. It's generally, that's how it works. Money is a reward. You are solving problems. If you solve big problems, the bigger the problem you solve, the more money you get. The bigger the problem for more people, the more money you get. The smaller the problem, the less money. But you can also solve a small problem for a ton of people, you get money as a reward, and you end up getting a lot of money. So the question is, I think this comes back to you directly, James. What would be and you don't need to answer it during this session. What would be this one area, and an easy way to think about it is, what would be the one problem? What would be the one pain you help people get rid of that positions you to become financially free as a result? What would be that difference you make? So that difference becomes the outcome. Like so for example, for Elena, I am a consultant, and I am serving 50 Fortune 500 clients, and I'm managing a team servicing these people. You're solving an extremely important problem. You're solving it for a lot of people. Ultimately, you have to be rewarded, and rewarded very handsomely, because you are solving a huge problem. You have become a consultant. What is the one difference you make as a consultant? Are you a problem solver? Are you an opportunity creator? Do you help people open eyes to different ways of doing things? Are you an aha creator? You come in and people are doing the same thing. You identify insights which they weren't seeing, and those insights you become identified with. Oh, are you trying to explore new opportunities in this market? Find Elena. Or are you trying to align your team? Find Elena. What is your consulting edge? Is it in people development? Is it in opportunity identification? Is it in strategic management? Is it in strategic reorganization? Such that there is going to be the one specific thing that focuses your attention. Here is my strongest recommendation to everyone on the call. In the next 5 years, everything you read needs to be almost aligned to that one area that you are going towards. Yes, if you want to read fiction from time to time. Read autobiographies anytime you want. Those ones, especially good autobiographies, anytime read an autobiography. But otherwise, there are books you have in your library which you don't need, because if you're not going to apply it, you are now learning as an adult. I am learning as an adult. Adults only learn and retain what they are going to apply. When we were in primary school and in high school and college, that's a different story. Right now, you learn what you're going to apply. If you're not going to apply it, it's entertainment. You would rather master 3 books in an area that you're going into, or read just 1 article a week in an area that you're focusing on, than read 20 books in all these other areas. So once you figure that out, then you can figure out what skills you want. If you want to work on emotional intelligence, then you start following an emotional intelligence authority and get a book by that authority, so that you focus on mastering one person whose ideas have been proven. Master their ideas, so that you don't end up with 10 different people You have so many ideas, you are not applying them. At the end of the day, you would rather pick one idea and apply it. So James, I would like you to think a lot more. At the end of the day, you're going to find that the main thing that brings everything together requires your skills. It taps into your passion. It gives you financial power. That one thing that you wouldn't be scared to do, it will be up there. So we have the outcome for you. You want to be financially free. What is the journey? Who who would, let's say you have become financially free, right? But who would you have been that would have ended up being financially free? And who you would have been would be from your lifestyle, but skills wise. What is this one skill that sets you apart, that allows you to be paid so much that you end up there? If you get a clear picture of what that skill is and keep that picture clear in your mind, it will change everything around you, from your behavior, from your routines, your habits, and the choices you make on a day-to-day basis. So this is for everyone. Who would you have been? Who would you who would you be? And because that person would be very different than what you are today. That person is going to be different. I was looking at my goals yesterday, and some of the goals scare me. They scare me because I am dealing with those goals with the who I am now, and yet for me to get there, I'm going to need to allow myself to evolve into a different person. And that's why we are doing this. Who are you going to need to be to get to these goals? So James, keep thinking about that, and we will circle back to this conversation again at some point. We haven't heard from Dungi, have we?
No, yeah. So the question was, if I knew I could not fail, what would I attempt? Yeah. I think for me, I would attempt everything, anything humanly possible. But I have so many ideas. But for now, the top one will be just I will orbit the sun. Yeah, and that is just the inner goal. The larger perspective of this is just everything that has been done outside space has been a race. The space race, the Russians, the Americans, everybody just wants the peace. For me, it will be, for one moment, just make the orbiting of the sun for me and for everyone not a race, but a common goal, global common goal. Just rallying everybody around one goal will be everything, just everything for me. And I think if someone else was doing this, and if it were not me, I think they will be big on research, and putting themselves on the map,
Yeah.
just trying to share this dream with the world, making everyone feel a part of this, getting the right stakeholders on board. Yeah. And if we could get everyone on the world to wrap their heads around this one goal, breaking barriers, define logic, rule, define human assertions, that there is a breakthrough for the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Live in a place better than you found it. I think if I achieved this one, for me, I will die peacefully. Yeah.
I think that I'm going to probe a little further. Why does this goal mean so much to you?
Uh, I love peace. I love living in sort of a global community.
Yeah.
It's just like human interaction, where, and I think this goal will speak more into, once we get everyone on board, there will be, I think it will speak to the issues of racial tensions, just everything wrong with this world. Because
Why is that important to you?
to me,
Yes.
I think it's the feeling.
What is the
The
feeling?
feeling.
What is the feeling?
just fulfillment, contentment, love, joy, peace, everything. Yeah.
Why is that important to you?
Mm.
I know this
I
feels
think
uncomfortable. We need to dig down to find the hidden why. That's what we are trying to do. Just go as far as you can. When you reach a place where you think you can't figure out anymore, you will continue thinking about it offline. So why is contentment and peace important to you? Why is harmony important to you?
uh, for me, I think it's important to me because it's something that I've been looking for a while.
Mhm.
You know,
Why have you been looking for it for a while? That's what you're looking for. We are trying to identify what is this part of you that is so thirsty for this particular thing. Because once we identify that part, then we will identify the actual goal.
Mhm.
This goal, the goal of going around the globe is an outcome. We are trying to figure
Yeah.
out where that goal comes from.
Hmm.
Once we identify where that goal comes from, we identify your source of power.
I think it's something that has been in me for a while. Uh, I don't know how to explain this.
Mm. It's
I, it's, yeah.
go ahead, continue.
This goal will be just everything to me.
So
Just
we want to figure out what everything is. I don't know whether this makes any sense to you. We want to figure
everything.
out what
What
that.
everything is. Sometimes when I think of this,
Yeah,
I even get teary. Sometimes it just invokes something.
yeah.
It even shuts off my thinking. For
I love that, but that is also dangerous. You know why? It's
Yeah.
it's going to take a journey. It might be that emotionally you are so attached to this goal that it's going to be even when the time comes, it might be difficult for you to transition to starting to make practical plans, practical actions. And maybe for you, maybe there are maybe 3 or 4 layers of goals in between before
Yeah.
you get to this goal, right?
Yeah, I think so. Because I've written this goal somewhere else in some book somewhere. It just came to me when you asked these questions.
Yeah.
I was just filling them out with my mind, and I think there was somewhere I wrote. For me, the journey and the feeling will count more than the goal for me.
So I
Yeah.
love that. So the journey and the feeling will count more than the goal, right?
Yeah.
The goal is to orbit the sun, right?
Yeah.
The journey is everything in between.
Yeah.
So say this goal will mean everything.
Yeah.
I am so committed to this goal that I'm willing to do everything it takes in between now and the goal.
Yeah. That's it.
The more emotionally attached you are to a goal, the easier it is for you to rest and enjoy the journey along the path. And that's what
Yeah.
we are trying to do here. So sometimes we become so emotionally attached. So here here is one of the saddest things about human life, right? We learn from experience from trivial things, but we don't learn from experience on the important things of our lives. If you are playing a game of chess or a game of Scrabble or any new game, when you make a
Mhm.
mistake, you learn from it and you make a change immediately. But we don't do the same thing when it comes to relationships. We don't do the same thing when it comes to our time management, when it comes to our health. That's why someone will start playing Scrabble today, in 3 months, they have improved so much because we learn quickly in the trivial areas. We don't learn as quickly in the crucial areas. We don't. We don't. And that's why most people's next time is the same as last time. That's because we approach every new day with the presumption that now I'm experienced. Now that I know better, I will do better, right? If someone breaks up and they're like, now I know better. Now I know better. 3 months later, they are in the ex's house. And this person, they know that this person is not taking them anywhere. But if it was a Scrabble game, they are not going to give that Q letter away. They will keep the Q until the end of the game, because last time they learned if you expose your letters early, you lose a game. We learn from our lessons quickly on the tiny, small, unimportant areas of our lives, but we don't learn and implement those lessons in the important areas of our lives. Dungi, for you to achieve this goal that you are so emotionally attached to, it's going to take a lot of learning in the crucial areas of your life. It's going to take a lot of change in the areas where you control 100%, 100%. And I promise you without a doubt that this goal has maybe 4, 5, 6 layers before you get there. This is a very specific outcome. Tell you what, the men who went to the moon, when they returned to Earth, all of them were put on treatment for depression. All of them. Because after you've been to the moon, so where else would you go that would give you even a quarter as much excitement? Where? So Ndungi, if you achieved this goal today, that would be the end of you. But thankfully, you're not going to achieve it today. What you're going to achieve today is a little more discipline, a little more focus, a little more direction, a little more thinking, a little more planning, a little more reality, a little more of responsibility. That's what it's going to take for you. If you achieved your biggest dream today, right? Everyone, if you achieved your biggest dream today, it will be the end of you. For some, it's you've had people say like, if I won $100 million today, I will never work a single day in my life. I think that is the best way to make sure God ensures you never win that money, because it will kill you. You'll earn that money and that's it. You will lose the one thing that is meaningful. You will disappear from the one area where you're making a difference. So it's going to be a journey. Please remember what we wrote down. No destination will ever fulfill you or satisfy you. Only the journey. And for everyone here, the journey is several layers, several steps until we get there. And the more we commit to enjoying the journey, keeping the vision very clear, the grand picture, the grand outcome, financial freedom, being a global leader in this area, running a massive institute, we keep that picture very clear out there. But then we realize that the day we get to that picture, we will write a story, or we will have written a story. Every story has a beginning, it has a turning point, it has conflict, it has escalation of conflict, then it has transformation. So that when I set the goal, every time you set a goal, you have already selected your obstacles. You have determined, you have selected your obstacles. We don't usually think of it like that. But when you set a goal, you select your obstacles. In other words, you determine what obstacles you have to overcome. Because sometimes we set a goal that we are so emotionally attached to, we forget that if there are no obstacles, it's not a goal worth pursuing. But if there are obstacles, it means this is a goal that is going to teach me. It's a goal that is going to grow me. It's a goal that is going to change me. So that then I will have a story to tell. That one day I had just very shaky financial grounding, but now I am financially free. If I want to travel to any country, I can travel. If I want to donate to any cause, I can donate right now. And what happened? Oh, I started at this time. I had this goal. I had the desire. I started pursuing this goal. I had invested this amount of money, and then the government shut down my business. And then I had to look for ways to overcome this obstacle. I looked for these people. I got this coaching. I worked with this mentor. I collaborated with somebody else. We created a partnership. And then we started making progress. When the business had already grown, the government canceled our license. When the government canceled our license, then we had the struggle to move to Botswana. And this is what we did. We found partners in Botswana, and then we moved Botswana and we started building the business. But then the government reversed its decision and gave back our license. Now we had two businesses. And what happened is that we ended up learning about X, Y, and Z. And now look, today, this is where we are. It will be a story. There will be obstacles. Expect the obstacles, plan for the obstacles, decide that you will enjoy the journey regardless of those obstacles. That's the purpose of all this we are doing. Breakthrough is a journey. Breakthrough will require absolute commitment from you and from me. And eventually, what we want to get to will come. It may not even be in the exact shape we expect it to be, but we will be different. And that is all that matters. We will be better. We'll be stronger. We'll be more consistent. That's all that matters. I think we will, in terms of discussing specific ideas from each of you, we will stop there and I'll give you a couple of minutes for us to reflect. If there is anything, what stood out for you? What insight are you taking away that you will act on? So let's do a quick reflection, starting with Judith.
Just give me a moment.
Okay. All right. Let's go on with Elena as Judith gets ready.
My reflection from this is that
Put your phone near Elena.
I'm on mic. What about now?
It's we can hear you, but it's very, very distant. But you could proceed.
Yes. So this overarching goal is quite new to me. I think I need some time to process.
Oh, I'm really
What
struggling. I don't know about other people, but I'm really struggling to hear you. Are you using a phone?
just proceed. You can just proceed.
Elena, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
That's slightly better. Maybe you try there.
Okay. So my reflection from this is that an overarching goal is something it's new to me. I may not have thought in depth about it, so I need to give it some time. The guidance around things that I'm passionate about, and focusing on the actions that will take me to that particular goal.
Yeah.
It's something I really need to do with some more thought.
Yeah, thank you, Elena. I mean, it's always the right time to start thinking about it. So I would say go ahead and give it a lot more thought and see what comes of it. Victor?
This question is easy and hard at the same time. I'll have to think about this and figure out what is that single thing that I will do if I knew I would not fail. So
Yeah.
it's something I'm also thinking as I'm talking. So it's something I'll take time and think through.
Yeah, sure.
I'll get, yeah.
Absolutely. Please go ahead. Ndungi.
I think for me, my reflections for today were when you said getting comfortable with the journey, enjoying the journey, and when you are questioning it, when you asked why, I think it forces me to question myself. Look, just be innate with myself, just down to the core. Look, yeah, I'm still wrapping my head around it, but yeah, that's my 2 cents for today. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Ndungi. We keep thinking about it and see what we can unearth. James.
Uh-huh. I think today's session has really gone a lot to provide clarity to the concept that it's not about what you have at the end of the day. It's about whom you become and what you're able to do because you've become someone else. So really, I have no idea how to express what I have in mind. But now on a different note, I think I'll get a separate notebook where I'll record all these questions, where I can record all these questions and ask and go through them from time to time, because I realized that some of these answers keep on changing as we continue to develop. The answer I gave a week ago might not be the same one I'll give if asked the same question right now. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's what I can share.
Yeah. All right. Absolutely. Thank you, James. Judith, are you back?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So my reflection for today, just the topic itself, starting over, is like a hit home. Like, let's say my goal of learning R is something that I had like maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine if I took a step of doing it, like it would be something I'm already established in it. And I think joining this breakthrough challenge in itself is already giving me results of what I really need to be. I tend to now think of critically, like what do I want to do? And like this art program, I even downloaded, okay, I paid for some courses on Udemy and I did not start, And I think it's been a year. So when I try to look down and see, I just realized I lacked discipline and I wasn't working on my goals. So starting over, I just need to start over now. And I kind of refine my goals each day. And thankfully, I think I'm somehow in the right direction. So I just needed that consistency, discipline, and I needed like a push and more confidence and overcome the fears I have. So thank you so much for the course. I'm already feeling like I have a change and I'm moving towards something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Judith. That's great to hear. And for everyone, I hope that you picked value today. Remember, this is the first part of our starting over. Tomorrow, we will delve into a few more ingredients of this conversation. Most importantly, it's your challenge to apply what you pick from here as we work towards a breakthrough by the close of the year, which is just another 2 months and 6 days to go.